Hey guys, Anastasia here, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all on this beginner friendly makeup. I want to stress again, the beginner friendly makeup is not necessarily simple or minimal steps. It's more so just the easiest possible way to accomplish the best results because you're a beginner. So I'm thinking of someone with minimal skill. What is the easiest way for me to show you how to accomplish a look like this? It is not, and I will repeat, necessarily that there are minimal steps involved. I have yet to find a time when I personally skip any of these steps and my makeup looks halfway decent. So this is just what I think you need to start doing as a beginner into makeup to make sure that your makeup is elevated and looks better. That's all I can say. I think a lot of people think beginner makeup is easy, and it can be, but as someone, when I was starting makeup, when I wasn't doing these things, I was not looking that great, and no one told me. So personally, I just want to say that I think that there is still a lot of steps involved. However, can you accomplish them? Yes. Will I show you how to accomplish them? Yes. Will I show you what you need to accomplish them? Yes. If that sounds like something you're interested in watching, then just scroll down and hit that subscribe button first. And let's get into this video. Get into this. So I want to make this as quick as possible because technically beginner friendly makeup shouldn't take too long. Like, it should be as simple as possible for you guys. So I think the problem a lot of people have with beginner friendly makeup is that they think that because they're beginners, they don't have to follow all the steps. Like when I tell someone who's new to makeup, like you should do X, Y, Z, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much, so many layers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but just because you're a beginner doesn't mean your makeup needs to look shit. Anyways, when you're doing beginner friendly makeup, I highly recommend you aim for, think like Aaliyah in the 90s, Bianca Lawson, Foxy Brown. Think of that as your inspiration because you don't need to do too much to look beautiful. Like honestly, aim to look simple and to look basic and to look naturally beautiful. However, there may be several steps involved to get there. Okay? So let's get into primer. So anyways, I'm gonna start with the Milk Hydro Grip primer. What a primer is supposed to do is it's basically to help everything stick to your face. As a beginner, I don't know why you'd want to skip this step. You want your makeup to last. You want it to look flawless. You want it to adhere to your skin. Then you want to go in with your foundation and some sort of an illuminator. As a beginner, this was the best trick I ever learned, which was my foundation can take on many different roles. My foundation can also simplify a step for me. So I just take some of my foundation and a pump of an illuminator. This one is Go & Glow Co.'s liquid illuminator in the color gold. And I just mix that around on the back of my hand and let it get nice and warm. And then we just put it on our face. So your first tool is gonna be your beauty sponge. I am yet to go back to a brush since I've started using a beauty sponge. I think I just get a more flawless makeup application. Why I like the illuminator is because you already have a natural glow without having to do any work as a beginner. So if you're afraid of highlighters, which a lot of people are because they don't want to look too crazy, they don't want to apply too much, sometimes the color's not right, whatever the reason is, having an illuminator in your foundation saves you that step and already gives you that glow without having to try. Now I'm going to do my eyebrows off camera only because eyebrows aren't necessarily a beginner friendly makeup issue. And I don't mean that they're not difficult. I mean that some people already have eyebrows, so they might not need this part of the process. If you want an eyebrow tutorial, then for sure let me know. I can post that, but I'm just gonna go and do mine and come right back. Now we're gonna highlight and contour. When highlighting, I try to get as close to my nose as possible, like on my nose even. And I tend not to bring my concealer past the end of my nose because it still has to blend out somewhere. For my contour, I use a shade that is like one shade darker. I recommend this to beginners because the minute you start going 2 to 3, you become on that side of like, not necessarily ashy, but looking a little bit crazy, a little bit too chiseled. When I only go 1 shade down, it actually helps my contour look more natural. So let's go back in with our beauty sponge. Now, if you need to create more dimension after this step, you just take your lighter concealer under where your darker concealer stops, and then you blend it out until it's like a softer one. Okay, now that this is on our face, we need to set it, and I mean set it ASAP, rather than using a lighter setting powder. So this is Honey by Fenty Beauty, and this is the medium deep powder from Maybelline Fit Me. If you don't want to use something that's lighter and too contrasting, you can take a setting powder that's your same shade. So this is the Mercier deep setting powder. This is what it looks like. Because it's translucent, then you're not getting too much drama if you don't need it. Another tool that you're gonna need is kind of like a light powder brush. Yeah, a fluffy powder brush. This one is the Wet n Wild P65. Like I said, because this powder is translucent, it's basically just setting all the work that we did in place. So I tend to still only put that in the lighter areas because of the fact that I'm about to bronze, and that's gonna take care of the darker areas. Okay. This is the Fenty Beauty Sunstalk'r bronzer in Mocha Mami. And we're gonna take the bronzer everywhere that the darker contour is. So this just gives us a subtle glow and makes our lives 10 times easier. I take it around the perimeter of my face and across my nose for like a slight chiseling. So then we should look like this. This is your everyday base. We haven't even added highlighter because we don't need to. You see what I just did there? Without you having to do any additional work, you're already highlighted, contoured, set. Your face is done. Simple, easy. Let's move into eyes. For eyes, I'm gonna recommend that you get any eyeshadow palette that has core neutrals. So some of my recommendations are going to be this Wet n Wild Bretman Rock palette. While it has a lot of colors, you can see I have lots of core neutrals and lots of core neutral shimmers. As a beginner, that's what I recommend. Don't let colors scare you because you can get into them later. I also recommend the Jackie Aina palette. Unfortunately for my Canadian babes, you'd have to order this directly from Anastasia Beverly Hills, pay US dollars. There's a lot of negatives there. So it's unfortunate, but I do have it, and as you can see, there's lots of neutrals in here. A couple colors, but lots of neutrals. It gives me room to play. Colored Rain's Queen of Heart palette is another good one. Again, hella neutrals, but you still have a bit of color, so that should you want to be more adventurous, you have that option. UOMA Beauty's Black Magic palette in Poise. This one is mostly neutrals, but you have that blue as a pop of color as well. I think today we're gonna start with this one because it's the newest one, so I know for a fact that you can get it. I'm like, for a fact, if anything, yes, it's an American company, but they're Black owned, so you'll feel a bit better about placing your order. But yeah, they're new, so I know that they have this in stock. So rather than use any of the other ones, we're gonna use this one. When it comes to beginner-friendly brushes, I recommend you just get any brush set off of Amazon. This one is the SHANY brush set from Amazon. I got it for Christmas. I can't remember how many pieces in there, but you get a good range of eyeshadow brushes as well as face brushes. And I recommend you always start with your warmest color. In this case, this is Asia. A good amount on your fluffy blending brush, and you just put that in the crease. This color is so close to my skin tone that you can't see it much, but that's what I like about it. If you're a beginner, you don't need to be doing the most yet. And you put this on your eye to just warm up the crease, and like already, you have an eyeshadow look. Let's call it what it is. If you're a beginner and you just did this, you could probably call it a day here. Now, if you want to add dimension to your eyeshadow look, take something a bit more pointed. This is their tapered blender, and you take that on a darker color. In this case, that's Poise. Now, here's where you want to be careful. You don't need a lot. So like in comparison to the first color that we just packed on there and weren't problematic at all, this is where you don't want to use a lot of product. You want to start softly and build your way up. And I just pop that in the crease. And then I blend it out with my previous brush that has that color close to my skin tone on it. And then you repeat these steps until you're satisfied with the look. And I think the problem with a lot of beginners is that they quit too soon. You guys quit way too early. Like, anything is possible at Flying Rhino Junior High. I'm kidding. Anything is possible if you keep blending. I have had looks that I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate this, it's hideous. And then I just keep blending and it works out for me. So if you're not seeing that your look is what you want it to be, keep blending. Take a lighter color, blend it out. Keep blending, and when you think you're done blending, blend again, And suddenly, just with neutrals, we've created way more dimension in our eyes. You then want to get, you can use many things for this next step. For this, I'm going to take a pointed smudge brush, and I'm going to mix both of those colors that we use, so Easel and Poise. And I'm just going to put a little bit underneath my my lower lash line. This just creates like the smallest bit of drop. Like, literally, it's so slick. Okay, and now for the lid, that's totally up to you. If you want to do a shimmery lid, have at it. If you want to do just a neutral lid, you can just pack some of the lighter color on top of it. You could cut the crease, which is beginner's quake, beginner's afraid. I usually use like a lip brush or something really, really tiny for this step. And then you just get some eye primer. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer, and you just cut out the area that you want to have your special shadow on. It's really that simple. I always start with the inner corner and go from there. My favorite part about a cut crease is that it can really change the look. Like a basic look that you're doing as a beginner can all of a sudden be elevated because you decided to cut the crease. However you want to end it is up to you. For this one specifically, I'm doing kind of more of a pointed look. That is what you want to keep in mind, and take your time. Like, makeup is not a rush. Like, I can't stress that enough. So then you're gonna take a brush like your wide eyeshadow brush, and you can use something like OPULust and just pat that right over top. And all of a sudden you're a beginner who has a cut crease. It's really that simple. So your look's very matte at this point. Honestly, if you want to keep it this way, more than welcome to. But if you want to add shimmer, you can go in with something like Regal or Magical. Hell, you can even go in with UOMA and add pops of color. I don't really want to do blue under my waterline because I've done that recently, but we're going to take Regal. And you want to take a brush like your pointed eyeliner brush, which I don't use for eyeliner ever because I don't trust it. And you just want to like lightly tap that into your inner corner. My recommendation for inner corners is it's not actually the inner corner of your eye. Once you cut a crease, you can see that where I actually place it is in the inner corner I created with my cut crease. I feel like that does my eye way more justice than putting it here. And you can also layer glitters as well. So I'm just gonna put a little bit, boom, Magical. Put a bit of Magical on top. And she really pops, like pops severely. I don't like getting onto eyeliner with beginners because eyeliner is something either you get or you don't get. Like, you have to practice. You have to. Like, I remember when I first started doing eyeliner, it was a mess. So personally, I'm not gonna get into that because at the end of the day, I already know that whatever trick I show you or however I do it, it's not gonna help you. You need to practice eyeliner and you need to practice it on your own eyes, because how someone else does it is not necessarily going to be what's best for you. Then I'm going to take the TooFaced Better Than Sex mascara. You can take any mascara, any of your favorite mascaras. If you get mascara on your eyeshadow, take concealer or your eyeshadow brush and just clean it up quickly. Okay, and if you're a beginner, 9 times out of 10 you're not messing with lashes yet. So this is just how I would do like a basic look and call it a day. If I'm being quite honest. This one's a bit higher than this one, but again, it's fine. So then, we want to get into lips really quickly, but before we do, you want to set your face. I don't like the feeling of setting lipstick, so I recommend you set your face now. And the only thing I can tell you about setting sprays is pick one that actually suits your skin. Don't just go with what everyone else picks. There are setting sprays for dewy looks, there are setting sprays for matte looks. If you have oily skin and you want a matte finish, then use a matte setting spray. Don't just use what everyone else uses. Personally, I like this one because of the fact that it just makes me glow. However, I found out their part owner is a racist, so I'm probably not going to be using it after this. I'm going to have to find something else. But yeah, pick a setting spray that works for what you're trying to accomplish with your look. Okay, so this is our look. Let's go into lips. Beginner friendly tip number 1, find your favorite lip liner, stick to it, marry it, love it. This one is Maxx Chestnut. I also like Maxx Bittersweet, but personally as a brown girl, you just need a brown liner. It's gonna tie in all of your looks. There's not one look that's not gonna tie in. So do that. I also recommend overlining your lips, even if you're a black girl. Something about just lining your lips within the parameter of your lines, personally, this is my personal taste, it makes your lips look smaller and it gives you less surface area. So I overline my lip. You don't need to get too into geometry. You can make that first line straight across your lips and then go from there. Once you relax your lips, you'll see that you've now lined your lips shape. You don't have to create the shape with the lip liner. You can just make a straight one. Then you wanna take whatever lip product you're gonna use. I'm gonna go for a glossy lip today, so it doesn't really matter what I do. We're gonna take NUDESTIX, oh, this needs to sharpen. NUDESTIX Blossom. And just like foundation, lipstick is buildable. So like, while you can add lots and lots and lots of color, it's not necessary. Just having a little bit of pigment, especially when doing a gloss over top, will take you miles. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like this video by giving it a big thumbs up if you did actually like it. Comment down below if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything I did today. If you feel that anything I did wasn't beginner friendly, if you need something more broken down than it is, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, subscribe to me. It doesn't pay my bills yet, but it will one day. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.